Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be taking a look at fault code P0055, which relates to the Lambda sensor, line 1, sensor 3, and its heating resistor. Now, this code can be a bit of a pain to diagnose and fix, so I'm going to walk you through the steps involved in troubleshooting it. We'll start by talking about what the Lambda sensor is and what it does. Then, we'll discuss the heating resistor and how it plays a role in the sensor's operation. Once we have a good understanding of the basics, we'll move on to diagnosing the problem. I'll show you how to use a scan tool to read the code and how to interpret the results. We'll also talk about some of the common causes of this code, such as a faulty sensor, a bad wiring connection, or a problem with the heating resistor itself. Finally, I'll show you how to fix the problem. If the sensor is bad, you'll need to replace it. If the wiring is bad, you'll need to repair or replace it. And if the heating resistor is bad, you'll need to replace that as well. So, if you're seeing fault code P0055 on your car, don't worry. This video will help you diagnose and fix the problem. Code P0055 is a diagnostic trouble code, DTC, that indicates a problem with the heating resistor in the oxygen sensor located on bank 1, sensor 3. This sensor is responsible for measuring the amount of oxygen in the exhaust gases, which is used by the engine control unit, ECU, to adjust the air-fuel mixture. The heating resistor is responsible for warming up the oxygen sensor quickly after a cold start. This is important because the sensor needs to be at a certain temperature to function properly. If the heating resistor fails, the sensor will take longer to warm up, which can lead to poor fuel economy and increased emissions. There are several possible causes of code P0055, including faulty oxygen sensor. The oxygen sensor itself may be faulty and need to be replaced. Damaged wiring or connectors. The wiring or connectors to the oxygen sensor may be damaged, causing a loss of power or signal. Faulty heating element. The heating element in the oxygen sensor may be faulty and need to be replaced. Exhaust leak. An exhaust leak can cause the oxygen sensor to read incorrectly, which can trigger code P0055. The most common symptoms of code P0055 include illuminated check engine light. The check engine light will typically illuminate when code P0055 is stored. Poor fuel economy. The engine may run rich, which can lead to poor fuel economy. Increased emissions. The engine may emit more pollutants than normal. Rough idle. The engine may idle rough or stall. Hesitation or lack of power. The engine may hesitate or lack power when accelerating. Code P0055 is a serious code that can lead to poor fuel economy and increased emissions. If you see this code, it is important to have it diagnosed and repaired as soon as possible. The first step in diagnosing code P0055 is to understand what it means. This code indicates that there is a problem with the heating resistor in the oxygen sensor located on bank 1, sensor 3. Bank 1 is the side of the engine that contains cylinder number 1, and sensor 3 is the third oxygen sensor from the front of the engine. There are a few ways to diagnose this code. One way is to use a scan tool to read the live data from the oxygen sensor. The scan tool will show you the voltage output of the sensor, as well as the current draw. If the voltage output is low or the current draw is high, then this is a good indication that the heating resistor is faulty. Another way to diagnose this code is to use a multimeter to measure the resistance of the heating resistor. The resistance should be between 2 and 10 ohms. If the resistance is outside of this range, then the heating resistor is faulty. Once you have diagnosed the code P0055, you will need to resolve the problem. The most common way to resolve this code is to replace the oxygen sensor. However, in some cases, the problem may be with the wiring or the PCM. If you are not comfortable replacing the oxygen sensor yourself, you can take your car to a mechanic to have it done. Here are some other things to keep in mind about code P0055. This code is more common in older vehicles. This code can cause the engine to run rich or lean, which can lead to poor fuel economy and increased emissions. If you are experiencing this code, it is important to get it diagnosed and repaired as soon as possible. I hope this information has been helpful. Please let me know if you have any other questions.